Yes, Fred.
Yeah, Samson, thank you for having me.
Yeah, the president painted such a good picture for us. It looks like we are on our way to heaven, but that's not the reality.
Thank you, Samson. And apologies, I couldn't join in the studio because I'm not in the country. Well, as an academic, I'm going to approach this, as you rightly said, from a non-partisan lens. So a SONA, a State of a Nation address, is normally a statement of ambition. And as I looked at the summaries that were provided, you will see a lot of ambition and also a statement of fact, what the numbers show regarding the macroeconomy. But, you know, the analytical question, however, is whether what we are seeing is sustainable. Remember that when we talk about a reset, you know, which is what we are talking about, what the government talks about, what the president talks about, it paints a picture of restoring macro stability, right? Stability in inflation, which we are seeing, sustainable public financing, exchange rate predictability. And here the issue is predictability. And I've done some work that has shown that even though we've achieved, you know, the city has appreciated, stability is still an issue if you look at it over the period. We've seen renewed investment confidence, which is good, which is part of the macroeconomic stability that we're talking about. But the issue is that stabilization is not instantaneous, right? So you can't really use 1 year achievement to be confident about stabilization. Is good. What we've done so far, what the country has done so far is commendable, is good, but we have to be cautious. We have to look, when you talk about stabilization, it's more
I don't understand you. You can't use 1 year to measure like how. I was watching Trump when he was giving the State of the Union address, and he also said the same thing. He said, what 1 year can do in an economy, that's what we are also experiencing as Ghanaians, right?
That's true.
It's a market difference, is it not?
Well, it is. It is, because those indicators that we normally cite have improved. But my caution here is that when you talk about stability, you need to be looking medium term. Can we, if we're able to sustain it, as the trajectory continues, right, then we're in a good place. So I'm just cautioning that using just a 1 year period to talk about stabilization is good. Things have stabilized. When you compare 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025, we've seen some good, you know, movement in the right direction.
Do I hear you say, like in Chi, mehubida, anaye hubida? Because I remember 2017, 2018, I remember how Akufo-Addo was excited and touting the economy and Kenuforiata, everybody, and he was getting awards and being celebrated outside of the country.
Exactly my point. Exactly my point. My point is that we should be happy where we are compared with where we were 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Okay, let's not discount that. I'm not talking about us discounting it. I'm just saying that we need to continue on the right path. It requires sustained discipline over several years. You know, the real test is not whether stability has been achieved in 1 year, but it's whether the policy trajectory is credible and consistent over the medium term. If we're able to do that, then I'll be happy, and every Ghanaian will be happy.
So sorry, Doc, but answer this for me. Is the policy trajectory credible? That's the question you raise. Is it credible? How is it to be sustained?
At this moment, I don't have any doubt. I can't see anything at the moment to doubt its credibility, right? But because of history, because of where we've been and where we came to and where we are today, I adopt a kind of wait and see attitude, although I want to be optimistic because everybody wants things to go well.
Yeah. So in this economy, we know that it is propped up by gold. So touch wood, our prayer should be that things should not go, gold should not suffer the cocoa scenario, right? Because cocoa has taken a nosedive of about 70%, drop in the price since it went to $11,000 per ton.
Exactly. Let me just paint for you a bit of because these issues are structural, right? If we step back and look at the macroeconomic fundamentals over the past decade, for example, I was looking at the data. I want to mention 3 core patterns, right? First of all, Ghana has spent an average of about 36% of government revenue on interest payments over the period. Right? Because these are structural issues. I don't want to focus on just a year. The year is important, but let's focus on structural issues. But this 36% compared to, even if you look at the sub-Saharan African average, is 8% of government revenue that go into interest payment. We are doing about 36% in a decade. That's first. That means that more than 1/3 of every CD collected goes into servicing past debt rather than financing new capital formation. Now, second, if you look at government's investment path, our capacity to create growth, right? That has fallen from about 27% of GDP in 2015 to just about 10% recently. It means that we are investing, our investments in fiscal capital, or our investment capacity, our capital investment in the economy has declined. Now, that's important because it helps us look into the future, right? It's not just a one-term thing. Now, the third thing I want to mention is so this talks about fiscal space, right? We talked about fiscal space. Let's talk about growth. Now, if you look at our GDP per capita growth, it's been very unstable, right, over time. And these 3 indicators point to a structural issue in our economy. So we need to look at this structural. If we don't fix the structural issues, what will happen is that if gold is doing well, if cocoa is doing well, and then comes down, we'll come back and talk about the same thing that we've been discussing over the years. So that's why I want us to, take our eyes back a little bit and look at the structural issues in our economy, because until these structural issues are fixed, we'll be happy for 1 year. But if things don't continue in this trajectory, we'll come back and be discussing the same things we were discussing 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
But overall, if you were marking, what's the name? John Mahama, for a paper that he would have submitted on the management of the economy, let's check if you are very stingy with your marks.
No, we don't want to use it.
That's over what? Over 10? If we're looking at macroeconomic stability, at least you want the core indicators to be pointing at the right direction, right? Your exchange rate, your inflation rate, fiscal space, all these things.
They are on point.
For now, they are pointing in the right direction. So I don't want to give a score now, but I will say that we are so far in the right direction. Let's sustain it over a long period of time. Look, to be able to structurally transform, you must be growing between GDP per capita of between 4 to 6% over a long period of time. When I looked at the data over a decade, we are doing about 2.3%. So that's not good enough, right? We need this to continue growing at about 5 to 6% for about 20 years. Then we can talk about transformation.
Okay, thank you very much. Hold on.